Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't actually have much of an intro for this video this time, but I do, however, have a question for you. Does anybody remember Railjack? Alright, lads and lasses, welcome back to our ongoing attempt at helping you all inflate that arbitrary number that does nothing more than designate how many things you've leveled in the game. This time, we're going to be looking at Mastery Tests 23, 24, 25, and 26. These tests, as always, are designated and designed to test your knowledge of what you've learned of the game so far. As you get to this stage of the Mastery Tests, you're going to start to realize that most of these tests aren't necessarily that hard, but instead now come down to seeing how well you've modded and understand roles and frame specialization. Did you know that there's a new thing out recently for specializing your frames? First of all you got to do to specialize your frames more towards these tests is to go to my Twitter and Twitch and pop a follow on them. Isn't that so easy to do? There are links down below if you fancy doing that, especially if you want to keep up to date with the stream with daily updates and daily streams and all that kind of good stuff. And if you want to join our fellow Tenno here who helped us record this video. Before we begin, remember, I always recommend testing your mastery tests first by using the trial run mastery test button when you get the option to actually take your test, or by going to Samaris on any relay and choosing one of the alcoves to the right of the main entrance, which will then designate which mastery test you're about to take and which one you can test. Mastery Test 23. I can't tell you how much aggravation this test caused me, especially when I first did it. In essence, this mastery test will give you 5 minutes to capture 6 moving control points. And you might be thinking, oh, Makari, that's not very difficult. And in essence, you wouldn't be wrong for saying that. But here's the kicker. Try keeping up with these things is more annoying than mashing your face against the steel path and realizing the words steel and face shouldn't go together in the same sentence without saying ouch at the end of it all. Analogy aside, you can essentially mash your face against this one and hope you get it done, but there are certainly some things that can definitely help you out here. Starting with the methodology of Mastery Test 23 to help you understand how it goes, the first thing you're going to want to understand is that the mobile capture points are, well, mobile, but their paths are the same on every attempt. And the first thing you're going to want to do is to make sure you know the pathing of these mobile butt plugs that they are going to take. Their speed will increase on the long stretches and then slow down at corners. So some of the best advice initially is to preempt that speed up and begin bullet jumping or using speed boosts when you see a long stretch coming up. Additionally, position yourself in the path of the capture point in the direction it's traveling will then mean you won't accidentally fall outside of the area of influence as it rushes away. It's all about preempting the movement and understanding the pathing in this situation. Furthermore, you will need to stand inside the area of influence until the capture point percentage reaches 100%. Falling out of the ring, as in our aforementioned sentence, will then cause the capture percentage to drop fast. And I guarantee you, this is where the aggravation will start rising, getting to 98% and then getting stunned by enemies, yes, there are enemies, and losing all that lovely progression. As I so quickly interjected there, the enemies aren't really the problem here, especially with the right frame choice. They will, however, cause you a little bit of an issue if you stand still for too long, and are generally there to be more of a nuisance than anything. And it's definitely not worth your time going out of your way to kill them, as they will just instantly respawn elsewhere upon death. So just focus on the capture point itself. Some things to do to make this very easy. 1. Bring a low key. High duration and efficiency and energy siphon in your build will allow for your stealth to be up permanently, meaning you won't have to worry about the enemies at all, as they're just going to be wandering around wondering where the hell you've gone to. Instead, just focus on following the point whilst you're invisible. Alternatively, some good frame choices are also Limbo, built for max range and duration, Rhino with a good Iron Skin build, or even a Nova to make use of the teleportations, or any frame with a decent form of crowd control to make sure the enemies don't interject with you trying to capture the points. Additionally, equipping a fully leveled Rush mod will allow you to keep up with the points far easier. In a TLDR format, watch the video in the background to understand the pathing and the method in which you keep up with the points. And then at that point, it is just a case of learning the pathing, keeping up with the points as they move, and doing this all within 5 minutes, whilst generally ignoring the enemies. Moving on to Master Rank Test 24. This is the Operator Test, to test how well you can operate your operator operating in a stressful mission operation. Yes. If that wasn't anything to go by, this test will get you to use only your operator. The objective is to kill a physical manifestation of people's interest in Heart of Deimos. Damaging this orb, or the quote-unquote heart of Daimos interest, will cause it to shrink, and once completely destroyed, that's it. Mission over. But it's not that simple. Come on. Did you expect that it would be that simple? Tut, tut, tut. All the while whilst you're attacking the giant orb in the middle of the room, you're going to be doing a tango dance around infested brood mothers that spawn maggots. These won't deal much damage initially, but the longer you take to do this mission, the more likely you are to be caught out by them. Much like the previous mastery test, the enemy aren't the focus, and killing them becomes rather redundant as they do respawn almost instantly. So focus more on the shoot and scoot tactics here. Making sure you are always on the move will make sure the maggots should never reach you. Utilizing the environment, you can even traverse the pillars using a void dash to create yourself breathing room. Additionally, void dash even can also damage the orb in the middle of the room, so you can utilize dashing through the middle to add to the damage total you're dealing to said orb. Now, the process of this mastery test is incredibly simplistic. There's no real tact here that isn't too obvious from the word go. But some things to note that can make life a bit easier for you are the following. Starting with the fact you don't have an amp. You are in essence stuck with your default base operator blasting power. So choosing to spend your energy on Void Beam, Void Blast, and Dash comes down to the situation and your personal preference. Just make sure you keep focusing on the shoot and scoot mentality. If maggots do reach you, as a second note, you can get rid of them by crouching in operator mode to detach them and prevent them from dealing any further damage. Something that's also worth noting is you only have 3 lives, so make as much use of them as possible. But that does give you room for error if you do get caught out. And finally, to go with the idea that DE apparently don't test their own game, and should I encourage exploits? You know what? If you do somehow manage to die, or if you just decide to, I'd actually encourage it with this exploit. When you die and respawn, you respawn with your equipped amp and arcanes from your normal setup, which, if you have the right amp, it means you can basically one-shot the orb and the brood mothers. I think it's kind of telling that DE don't really test this, do they? TLDR for this test. Shoot and move, shoot and move. Also, be aware of your energy pool. Use your energy pool in the situation required. Avoid maggots, kill the orb, and abuse mechanics of respawning with an amp if you so choose and want to make this a bit more easy for yourself. We're halfway there. Ho, ho! Mastery Test 25. Yo, we are quarter of the way to Master Rank 100. Woo! And to celebrate, this test basically combines everything you've learned thus far. Taking the practice wheels off your bike, you now have free range to approach this test how you will. Starting the test, you will be given an Arcwing deployer directly in front of you. Stepping in this will deploy your Arcwing, allowing you to traverse between the many floating platforms. The idea here is to kill 50 enemies before the timer runs out. Starting out with 28 seconds, the only way to increase this timer is to kill the orbs that spawn on the platforms. Yeah, remember those orbs that we had to deal with before? Each one giving you an additional 20 seconds to your timer, which will cap out at 29 seconds total. Moving on, let's have a little look at the process, shall we? To note about the enemies are, in this instance, only level 25 to 30, so nothing too tough to take down, so bringing any weapons, any frame that are decently modded will make absolute mincemeat of them. The process here is relatively simple. The orbs will be marked with waypoints. The enemies are then surrounding these waypoints, so generally the way to go is to go between the orbs, landing, killing the enemies on said platform, and then grabbing the arc deployer on that tile that you've moved to. Now let's have a little look at the process here, shall we? The enemies are Grineer and mostly level 25 to 30, so nothing too tough to take down. So bringing any weapon, any frame that are decently modded will make absolute mincemeat of them. Now the process here is relatively simple. The orbs will be marked with waypoints. The enemies are surrounding these waypoints, so generally the way to go is to go between the orbs, landing at said point, killing the enemies at said point, and then grabbing the arc deployer that will be on that tile set, and then rinse and repeating between each of the segments. All the while keeping your efficiency and speed as optimal as possible to maintain your timer. It's worth trying to be strategic with your destruction of the orbs. Be observant. When you land at a platform, if you still have above 18 seconds of time left, focus on killing the enemies first. Or if you are below 18 seconds, kill the orb first. In essence, you don't want to waste time you gain from these orbs by killing one too soon.
Wait, what's that? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Titania coming to cheese the test again.
Shocker. Titania giving us the ability to trivialize another mastery test. Oh boy. Yep, Titania once again can use her pixie mode to speedily dash between the points without needing to even grab the Arcwing deployer. And with her raw power in her exalted weapons, she'll make mincemeat of the enemies on every platform. As a final note, to keep that speed up, make sure to make use of your Arcwing's dash, whether in Titania mode or in Arcwing mode, by dashing using the double tap of shift if you're on PC, or the roll function if you're on any other platform. Additionally, and this is sort of an optional thing you can do here, if you don't like using Arcwings, I mean, who wouldn't like using Arcwings, am I right, guys? Anyway, set that aside. You have some very savvy use of your operator here that can actually, in fact, complete this entire test utilizing bullet jumping and your operator's void dash. You will need to make sure your operator has the Zenuric Waybound passive void siphon to give you more base energy, which when activated as a passive on any focus tree gives you enough energy to void dash multiple times to make the distance between each platform rather trivial. It's almost like DE made content that they then try and force us by putting it in, going like, hey, you like Arcwing? You remember Arcwing? You want to play some Arcwing? Well, here's some Arcwing! And then the 10 were like, no, I don't think I will. Mastery Test 26. Oh boy, Mastery Test 26. What new travesty have they concocted for us to take on this time? Wait, didn't we... Haven't we done this one already? Hang on. Oh, right. That's correct. Mastery Rank 26 is a direct copy of Mastery Rank 23. Except everything that was annoying about the previous iteration has been ramped up, ranging from far more aggravating pathing. They go up now? They fly now? Additionally, the enemy are actually an issue here, as they will be in and around the level of 41 and 46, meaning they might actually deal some damage to you. But realistically, the process here is exactly the same. There's actually no difference whatsoever. Use stealth or rely much more on your CC or survivability of the frames you have. Relying more on survivability, it might be more of a go-to, as you can then shrug off the bullets. But whatever worked for Mastery Test 23 will work here. So rather than insulting your intelligence and reiterating everything I mentioned in the previous Mastery Test dialogue, I will leave you to watch my method and the pathing I take and let you make your own decisions based on how you did Mastery Test 23. And that's the video, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully it's been informative. Hopefully you've learned a few things or two about these mastery tests. And if you, again, you want to come and join us with recording these videos like my friends here, then you are welcome to drop on by. There'll be a link to my Twitch down below. Please consider also following my Twitter to keep up to date with everything going on in the community. And hopefully we'll see you all in the next video, which should be more interesting. Probably, maybe even Zaku guide, possibly. We'll have to see. Either way, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. And I'll see you all in the next video. Ta-ra!